Hello everyone, Denise Farquharson here from Denise Farquharson Coaching, here for your session to build your relationship skills with emotional intelligence. We're going to step through some 3 important traits for you to pick up for your corporate career, your business, your role as a coach, whatever it is that you do. This will help you to really build those relationship skills. Now, the reason why you're here is probably because you want to actually build up those skills for yourself. You want to be able to connect. You want to be able to have time with your team, with your leaders above and across from you, to be able to collaborate and connect really effectively. And in order to do that, then this session will definitely help do so. All right. So at this point then, let's move on to a little bit about me. So those of you who don't know much about me, I am Denise Farquharson from Denise Farquharson Coaching. And a lot of what I do is based on a situation where I had to really build my relationship skills. And I remember actually having time with my team and really thinking I knew exactly what relationship skills was all about. Oftentimes when I'd have a team meeting, I would see them not quite responding. But I thought I was great. I thought I was delivering. I thought they knew exactly what it was that I was trying to get across. But what I found was that actually, Denise, your skills were not quite up to par in order to really connect with them as I would have liked to. So with that in mind, I decided, right, I'm going to go and get certified as a leadership coach. I then loved the emotional intelligence aspect of it, so got certified for ECR as well. An ECR certification is all about actually that assessment or questionnaire that you fill out is a real eye-opener to how you are in your emotional intelligence traits. Because no matter how knowledgeable and qualified you are, that will not necessarily get you to the space where you need to be in order to really deliver all the things that you need to and perform and excel and have strategies for your sales or your marketing as effectively as you'd like to. So it's been 10 plus years now of coaching experience in multiple industries, and I can definitely share lots of stories with you about how coaching senior execs, CEOs, senior leaders, managers, teams, that this has really helped people to stretch, succeed, and soar. So let's see how you can gain knowledge and understanding about relationship skills from this session today. And what we're going to do next then is I want you to think about what is emotional intelligence. It's a word that's used, or a terminology that's been used quite a lot, especially in the last 7 to 10 years. And now Forbes quoted in December 2020 that emotional intelligence, being aware of yourself, being aware of others, and being aware of the systems and processes around you from a corporate perspective are much more important than even having an amazing IQ. Intelligence quotient could be as high as ever, but no matter how intelligent you are, if you don't have that emotional connection with your people, with your teams, with your stakeholders, sponsors, customers, there'll be no relationship. And so you're probably wondering, well, actually, what are some of the things that's caused me to be interested in this particular aspect of emotional intelligence? So let me put a question to you. What does a relationship skill mean for you? Just have a think about that for a moment. What does a relationship skill mean for you? The skill of building a relationship or connecting with people or having a relationship. What does it mean for you? Another question would also be, which area of this skill, this relationship skill, because you must have thought to yourself, I'm great at building relationships and I want to get better, or I'm actually finding it's a little bit up and down, or I'm really poor at it and I want to develop, which is great. But which aspect of relationships and building those skills requires improvement, requires you to stay connected? Because a really good leader or teams that are high performers really spend a lot of time around establishing their relationships with others. Especially those who are in the sales businesses, they really spend time, not necessarily selling, but getting to know you, building that rapport. Those of you who are in customer service, there is such an emphasis on definitely supporting your customers, especially after they have either purchased or used your product or your service. It's so important that they get that backup, that guarantee, that warranty of the product or service that you have provided. There's something about commitment, staying connected by committing to serving your customer rather than serving your, what was the word I heard yesterday where somebody said to me, actually, Denise, if you think about that person as your customer, as opposed to, in legal terms, the complainant, for instance, then actually they're no longer seen as being in the negative side of things and they are complaining about something from a law perspective, but actually they are your customer. So therefore you serve, and service to others is part of building relationship. It offers value. It offers connection that's so strong, it stays there for a long time. And that's where loyalty comes in. People who are great at relationship skills are also good at maintaining them, because you can't just build the relationship, be skilled at doing it and not maintain it. And it's like that if you are in the area of supporting others, in actually being skilled in competence, in learning, in a particular area of studying. Maintaining that consistent relationship with them is really key. And collaboration, I remember speaking to someone who is from France, and collaboration, gosh, back in the days when there was a war, was an awful word, absolutely awful word. And he said, I remember him saying to me, Denise, I do not want to collaborate. That's not it's not a term that he likes to use. But when I explained to him from an English perspective what it really means for me, we were then able to have a really good conversation about it. And collaboration is about actually putting aside what you think you know, and opening yourself up to engaging with others to learn from them and what they know. And by doing that, you'd be amazed at the type of teams and abilities and relationships that you can build because of it. And building relationship skills as well is also linked to rewarding. Anybody who's great at relationship skills are always rewarding each other, or rewarding the relationship, or rewarding the fact that both parties have made an effort, whether it's two people or a big team or even a company or a department. When people are rewarded, it shows that absolute appreciation and gratitude, and you cannot afford to lose out on those values at all. It's all part of building that relationship. So that big you there, I want you to think about you and which of these aspects of relationship skills you are really good at, and which ones probably need some development as well. But this is a list of people who build amazing relationship skills. This is what they do. This is what they do well. So another question for you is, think of the current relationships that you have right now, that you are in, that who you relate to on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, who you sometimes hesitate to pick up and call them on the phone or send them the email. But you may well have some who you are more than happy to talk to them. Think of those current relationships. What makes them work? What makes them work? And is it that you've spent time possibly on this list, or is it that you need to spend more time on another set of traits, which I'm going to go into now? But just think about it. Why do those current relationships work for you now? What makes them work? So let's move on. The 3 traits of relationship skills. We're going to look at equality, So based on that question that I asked you earlier, we're going to look at equality, mutuality, and empowerment. Equality, mutuality, and empowerment. 3 quite powerful words. So have a think. If you've got great relationship skills, but you want to improve them, you may be finding, actually, similar to what I did with self-confidence session earlier, which aspect of relationship skills do you want to improve? Is it the equality of working together? Is it the mutuality of acceptance of each other or of each other's departments, functions, teams? Or is it the empowerment, the giving over, the releasing of one to another in order to build connection and collaboration? Let's explore that a little bit more then. Equality. So if it's equality that you need to work on for your relationship skills, then I want you to think about the agreeability that you have when you are with someone. If you're thinking, actually, I am needing development in certain areas, is it because you are not being agreeable, not being receptive, not being sociable? And maybe that aspect of your relationship skills could be enhanced so that you start to turn that non-agreeableness, if this is a word, into being more agreeable. Does that mean you give in to anything that's being said? No, not at all. But there is a mutual conversation that can be had and agreement. Even, I think the term is agree to disagree, is sometimes used as well. If people feel that when they're talking to you that you're not actually listening, actively listening, then they will see that you're not necessarily receptive. And being receptive is powerful for equality, because if they want to keep talking and want your attention, and yet when you speak, their attention's not there, that breaks up the relationship skills, that breaks equality. So then think about being sociable, because obviously once certain people I know, they just go into the team or go to that department or go into the meeting, deliver what they need to, and show no sociability whatsoever. And sometimes wonder why the relationship skills are not so strong. So here's a strategy tip for you. Practice showing interest. It's not rocket science at all. Practice showing interest. So think about the next occasion where you think, maybe in a meeting or a presentation or a workshop, that you are doing some, maybe even some one-to-one with one of your team members, that you are seeing that there's no agreeability, receptiveness, or sociability. Just try this tip. Just practice showing interest. In order to show interest effectively, you've got to listen effectively. Therefore, you have to be receptive. And when you practice showing interest and genuinely listen, then it will help you to continue the conversation as a dialogue rather than a monologue, one-way delivery. The second part of our relationship skills is about mutuality. Now, the interesting thing about mutuality is it needs some of the people and parties involved to actually genuinely release themselves. We don't own and know everything. We don't absolutely conquer the world of the aspect or the sector or the trade that you are in. There needs to be a mutuality of acceptance, so therefore being cooperative and collaborative. So it means then that you're going to have to think about that strategy tip. You don't know all the answers. That's why you have a team. Together, everyone achieves more, TEAM. And therefore, when everyone achieves more, it's together, because not everybody is a starter and a finisher. Not everybody is a finisher. Some are starters. Not everybody is great at creating ideas. Not everybody is the one who is able to organize and plan. But when you bring all these amazing personal development skills together and cooperate with your best skills, it helps with the cooperation. It helps with the collaboration as well. So if you've got a little project going on right now and you're thinking, there's not much mutuality taking place right now, Think about the cooperative and collaborative aspects of it. Is it running the way it's running because you're feeling as if, or acting as if, or portraying through your words that you know all the answers? And if that's the case, then you'll have to consider that actually have a little humility. I don't know all the answers, and therefore I need to back off and start asking, what do other people think? What do you think? Give me some insight into this. Tell me more. Yeah. And look at it from that perspective. Okay, and then now let's look at the third aspect of relationship skills. Let's look at empowerment. I love this one. Reason being, if you consider the relationships that I asked you to think about earlier, do you share the power? Who owns the conversations? Who owns the tasks? Who owns the feedback in your teams, or leader to leader, department to department, function to function? Who's leading? Who's in power, or who's showing empowerment? And therefore, is there a great encouragement of participation going on? And so if you're finding that actually, again, have a think about an aspect or a project, a task or a challenge or an issue that you're facing with relationship skills, just see, is it because the power's not being shared? Is it because others are not being enabled? Or are you not enabling yourself even? And do you encourage participation, or do you actually actively participate? That's one to consider. So the tip here is empowering others doesn't give away your power. Actually, it builds you and it builds them. So the tip here is to do these things: share the power, enable others, ask questions, participate, encourage, speak up, challenge, healthily, creating that dialogue that can go so deep and is so intentional. So here are just a few more tips. I love to give away tips, okay? And this is about how your relationship skills can get even stronger. Even though we went through equality, mutuality, empowerment, here are some more things that you can really do. Really get to know how they work. They as being the other people. When we look at self-confidence, self-knowing, self-reliance, those are traits that I also do teach on and coach on. But relationship skills is not about you by yourself. Relationship skills is one of those traits that's about you and others. So get to know how people work. What turns them on? What makes them succeed? What really gives them the passion about what they're doing, especially if they're in your team? Or if you're trying to persuade other people, get to know how they work as well by just asking some very simple questions. I remember the other week, actually, I was talking to someone, well, actually, I was emailing them, and I was asking them to check something for me, which I know would probably take a good hour of work and effort, and they did not have to do it. They do not work for me, but I wanted their feedback. So one of the things I asked them to do was, here's the attachment. I'd like you to assess it for me, but tell me how best to work with you. Should I send it to you as an attachment and then you give you a few days and you get back to me on X day? Or do you want to get back to me and have a meeting and we discuss your findings? Or do you want to just send me an email and say, Denise, I'd like you to change ABC or adjust page 9, or you need to do something extra? And they came back to me and they said, Denise, nobody has ever asked me yet what my style of working is. And I said, well, I guess because I have my own style that I prefer, I tend to just always ask. That's what I really mean by that. Really get to know how people work. Then that builds, again, connection, collaboration, great relationships, equality, because you're considering them. And then also, like I did with that lady, I empowered her to be able to give me her assessment and her knowledge based on the piece of work that I wanted her to look at. But check in frequently if you have a team, especially, how are they doing? Especially during this period of time as well, where all sorts are happening with the pandemic. Check in frequently with them. Don't let it always be about work. Let it also be sociable. Sociable conversation can definitely lead to passion for the work that they have to do. Also ask for feedback. That's something that's not very often taking place, but you've got to be brave enough to speak up and just say, listen, I loved that conversation that we had last week. What is it about what I said that really engaged you? It can be as simple as that. And they'll tell you if they can remember. Yeah, they can tell you. All right. Set expectations and deliver. Nothing worse than not delivering. And if you don't deliver, then explain why you're going to miss that delivery. Again, that helps to build that mutual acceptance. And then it gives you empowerment as well to say, listen, I need it by another date, but can you deliver for that? Because then that puts it back in their court to deliver and build the relationship with you again. Create accountability. Now, a lot of people don't like accountability, but a lot of people love it. I love accountability because it drives a particular motivation type in you. And that's something else that I cover. If you want to ask me about it, the 7 motivational types, we could do that on another time. But the accountability is a really strong one. And most people want or need or are driven by accountability. And it can be as simple as, I promise I will get it by 10 o'clock tomorrow. Or I promise I will ring you by 6 p.m. Those are simple techniques of accountability that, again, help to build that awareness and the relationship that you want with them. Embracing your role as the expert. Now, it sounds a bit like pride, but no. What I mean by that is, if you are an engineer, for instance, you're an expert at engineering. Embrace that and use that in your relationship skills. Use your knowledge in your relationship skills, because by doing that, it helps the dialogue, it helps build that connection with the other person, it helps with conversation, it also helps with being able to translate difficult conversations simply. So embrace your role as the expert and let somebody know in the middle of the conversation, listen, I am an expert, as I do, I'm an expert in emotional intelligence. Let me offer some support in order to help you build your relationship skills. Embrace your role as an expert, it's fine. But be also a good communicator, sharing, talking, listening, actively listening, body language, response, dialogue, monologue, all those things are perfect for building relationship skills and making sure that you stay on top of that consistent relationship, whether it's a daily one, weekly or monthly, or maybe every so often in a blue moon, okay? But that helps to really help you, no matter how long ago you haven't talked to this person, it doesn't matter. You can still have that connection with them because of how you've built that relationship. That's a few there. Own your mistakes. That's a big one. Because sometimes relationships are broken down because often mistakes are made and often people don't own up to them or admit that they did wrong. Or if they do, cover it up or try and blame someone else. That breaks equality, breaks mutuality, and definitely breaks empowerment. And therefore your relationship skills need some more development. Check in frequently, and that looks like I've said that twice, and then get feedback. I think I've said that twice as well. See, I'm an expert at emotional intelligence, but I got something not quite right there. But I want you to just finish off here with, what is your relationship journey like? That's a question for you. And I'm almost repeating the one that I asked earlier on. And the reason why I am is because Do you see it going up and down, but getting worse? Or do you see it as a growth spurt? Sometimes you get it right on the blue side there. Sometimes you get it wrong and you're constantly going like that, but you're making your way to strengthen your relationship journey with your team, with your colleagues, with your other companies, stakeholders. Or are you on the green side where you are trying and trying and trying and trying and it's just not coming together? What is it like? And what help do you need to make it work for you? So if there's more about emotional intelligence, hey, I just covered there one particular competency, relationship skills. That has 3 aspects to it. I have not rushed through it, but there is so much more that can be applied to you for your personal development. How long will you put up with the pain of not having great relationship skills? How long will you put up with people not feeling as if you really care? How long will you keep going, delivering, still ticking off all the tasks, but the skills that you need to really embrace people so that those tasks aren't just done, they're done with quality and excellence? How long? So you can have a transformation in your life. You can have a transformation in your career. You can have a transformation in your relationship skills. On the right, there are the 3 things that I currently do to offer to help you to do that. I use a fully scientifically based questionnaire of 75 questions to really dig deep into your emotional intelligence space. So we could have a personal one-to-one, we could have a call, we could have a personal 20-page report over a 5-week coaching program to help you get deeper into those traits like we did today and have some real personal coaching to make it happen for you. Or you could go ahead and go for the 20-page report where it's a team report, and that is you answer the questions, but also you can choose between up to 20 people answer the questions as well about you. What does that help with? Well, it will identify that if you think you are amazing at relationship skills, actually your team think you are even more amazing than you had thought. Or if you're feeling that you're a little bit not so optimistic right now, that's okay, because your team will score you, and what they'll be finding is that the scores will show you are probably needing some support to become more optimistic. And I'll be covering optimism in the Vision and Future session tomorrow, Saturday, 10 a.m. GMT. Please join me then for that one. But in the meantime, any final questions, which I'll come to in a second, and that's the end of our relationship skills session. Forward to speaking and working with you. Thank you.